Tycoons are in many ways the lifeblood of society.
They're the most competitive people you will ever find.
The moment a billionaire's carefully crafted public image completely shattered on live television, money can buy almost anything. Private islands, political influence, even entire media companies. But there's one thing billions of dollars can't purchase: composure under pressure. Today we're diving deep into the psychology of extreme wealth and what happens when the ultra-rich lose control in public. From boardroom tantrums to social media meltdowns, from restaurant outbursts to interview disasters, these are the moments when money can't mask the truth about what extreme wealth does to the human psyche. Buckle up, because what you're about to see will change how you view the ultra-wealthy forever. But first, let me tell you about the billionaire who had a complete meltdown on live television, and it was all caught on camera. Lee Cooperman, net worth $3.2 billion, age 78. And on January 28, 2021, this elderly billionaire had what can only be described as a public breakdown on CNBC. The context? Reddit users had just orchestrated the GameStop short squeeze, costing hedge funds billions. And Cooperman? He was not happy about it. Watch closely as this billionaire's mask slips completely. Notice the body language, the tone, the complete disconnect from reality as he calls millennials and their evil plans the enemy. This wasn't just anger about money. This was a man who'd spent decades believing he was untouchable, suddenly realizing that a generation he dismissed could actually challenge his power, and he couldn't handle it. Elon Musk, the world's richest man, and possibly the most publicly unstable billionaire in history, May 2024. Musk publicly attacks his own AI creation, Grok, after it fact-checks one of his conspiracy theories. Think about that for a moment. A billionaire having a public argument with a chatbot he created. But here's what's really happening. When you have unlimited wealth, you're surrounded by people who never say no. Your reality becomes whatever you want it to be, until suddenly an algorithm designed to find truth contradicts you. The Trump-Musk split of 2025 played out like a billionaire soap opera. Two egos, each worth tens of billions, having a public feud that wiped $150 billion off Tesla's value. This is what happens when money replaces emotional intelligence, when wealth becomes a substitute for genuine human connection. But these public meltdowns aren't random. There's a psychological pattern here, and it reveals something disturbing about what extreme wealth does to the human brain. Dr. Sarah Thompson, a therapist who works exclusively with ultra-high net worth individuals, calls it wealth-induced reality distortion syndrome. When you can buy your way out of any consequence, you never develop emotional regulation skills. When everyone around you says yes, you lose the ability to handle criticism. Studies show that extreme wealth actually rewires the brain. The areas responsible for empathy literally shrink, while the regions associated with addiction and compulsive behavior expand. It's not that billionaires are inherently bad people. It's that their brains have been fundamentally altered by an environment where normal social rules don't apply. This explains why their public meltdowns follow such predictable patterns. They're not losing control. They're revealing who they really are when the cameras are rolling. And nowhere is this more obvious than in the restaurant industry, where billionaires regularly have meltdowns over the most trivial things. The service industry, where billionaires' true personalities are revealed through their treatment of waitstaff, hotel employees, and retail workers. Former employees of ultra-wealthy individuals have shared thousands of stories online. The pattern is always the same: explosive anger over minor inconveniences. A billionaire screaming at a waiter because their steak was medium instead of medium rare. Another having a complete breakdown because their private jet was delayed by weather. What's happening psychologically? These individuals have never learned that other people aren't extensions of their will. When reality doesn't conform to their expectations, they literally don't know how to process it. The most disturbing part? They often don't remember these incidents afterward. Their brains have learned to delete memories that don't fit their self-image. But public meltdowns in restaurants are nothing compared to what happens when billionaires face actual consequences for their actions. The one thing that can make even the wealthiest person lose their composure completely. Watch what happens when billionaires realize their money might not be enough to escape consequences. The mask doesn't just slip, it completely disintegrates. The body language tells the whole story. Fidgeting, sweating, aggressive posturing. These are people who haven't faced real consequences in decades. Their lawyers try to control the narrative, but you can't lawyer your way out of a psychological breakdown happening in real time. This is when we see the true cost of extreme wealth. Not just on society, but on the individuals themselves. They've traded their humanity for money, and when that money can't protect them, there's nothing left. But perhaps the most revealing billionaire meltdowns happen during media interviews when they're forced to defend their wealth inequality. The media interview, where billionaires' carefully crafted public personas collide with actual journalism. When asked about wealth inequality, watch how quickly their composure crumbles. They literally cannot comprehend why anyone would question their right to hoard billions while others struggle. Notice the micro-expressions, the flash of anger when challenged, the condescending tone when explaining why they deserve their wealth. These aren't calculated responses. These are raw emotional reactions from people who've never been held accountable for their impact on society. The most telling moment? When they try to relate to normal people and reveal just how disconnected they really are. But the ultimate billionaire meltdown category might surprise you. It's not about money or power. It's about something much more personal. Social media, the great equalizer that billionaires thought they could control until it started controlling them. Despite having everything money can buy, billionaires are desperately seeking validation from strangers online. And when they don't get it, they lose their minds. Watch the pattern. Post controversial content, get negative feedback, have public meltdown, double down on the controversy, repeat. It's the same dopamine addiction that affects everyone, but amplified by unlimited resources and zero accountability. The irony, they bought these platforms to control the narrative, but ended up becoming slaves to the very algorithms they own. And this brings us to the most disturbing aspect of billionaire psychology: what happens to their children. Generational wealth, the gift that keeps on taking from the human soul. Children of billionaires have higher rates of depression, anxiety, and substance abuse than the general population. Money doesn't just corrupt the wealthy, it destroys their families. These kids grow up watching their parents have public meltdowns, learning that money is more important than emotional stability. The cycle continues. Each generation more disconnected from reality, more prone to public breakdowns, more psychologically damaged by their privilege. This is the true cost of extreme wealth inequality. Not just economic damage, but psychological destruction that spans generations. But there's one type of billionaire meltdown that reveals the deepest truth about wealth and power. The one thing money truly cannot buy your way out of. And billionaires handle this reality poorly. Watch how billionaires react when confronted with their own mortality. The desperate spending on life extension research. The public breakdowns when health issues arise. They've spent their entire lives believing money makes them gods. Mortality is the ultimate reminder that they're just human. The public meltdowns around aging and death reveal the deepest insecurity of the ultra-wealthy. Despite all their power, they're still mortal. This is why billionaire meltdowns are so fascinating to watch. They're moments when infinite wealth meets finite existence, and wealth always loses. So what does this all mean for society? And what can we learn from watching the ultra-wealthy lose their minds in public? Billionaire meltdowns aren't just entertainment. They're a mirror reflecting the psychological cost of extreme inequality. When we watch these meltdowns, we're seeing the logical endpoint of a system that allows unlimited wealth accumulation. These aren't isolated incidents. They're symptoms of a society that has allowed wealth to become more important than mental health, more valuable than human connection. The public fascination with billionaire meltdowns reveals our collective understanding that extreme wealth is psychologically destructive. We're not just watching rich people lose their minds. We're witnessing the human cost of a system that prioritizes wealth over well-being. And that brings us to the most important question of all. So what have we learned from watching billionaires lose it in public? First, that extreme wealth is a mental health crisis, not just for society, but for the individuals who possess it. Second, that money doesn't just corrupt, it fundamentally rewires the human brain in ways that make normal social functioning impossible. Third, that these public meltdowns are actually cries for help from people who have everything except what they really need. Genuine human connection and emotional regulation skills. But perhaps most importantly, these meltdowns show us that the system itself is broken. When having unlimited resources makes you less happy, less stable, and less human, something is fundamentally wrong. The next time you see a billionaire having a public meltdown, remember, you're not watching someone who has it all. You're watching someone who has lost everything that actually matters. Money can buy many things, but it can't buy peace of mind, emotional stability, or genuine human connection. And when billionaires lose it in public, they're proving that point better than any economist ever could. If this deep dive into the psychology of extreme wealth has opened your eyes to the true cost of inequality, make sure to subscribe for more social commentary that goes beyond the headlines. And let me know in the comments, which billionaire meltdown shocked you the most, and what do you think this says about our society?